What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on first take, they're going to be talking about, can Major League Baseball recover if they don't play this season? So let's see what they have to say about that.
Stephen A., how important is it for baseball to figure this out in some way and still play their season?
I think it's incredibly pivotal that baseball get this right.
Yeah, it is pivotal, but it's not that serious. I mean, he's acting like, baseball is going to go bankrupt anytime soon, which I seriously doubt is going to happen. So let's continue.
I'm not taking any sides here. I definitely understand where the players are coming from. We reached an agreement with you owners. We negotiated this once the pandemic kicked in. It wasn't corona, COVID-19 pandemic. It was after the COVID-19 pandemic suspended our season. We negotiated with you. We had a deal with you. Now here you come trying to piggyback off of that and make things even worse for us. No, we're not going for it. I understand the owners that are saying we're really making our money come postseason time. The less amount of games we have, the better, because the more money we'll have to dole out to you in salaries, we'll be able to make some of that up, blah, 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 blah. Here's the bottom line. The sport of Major League Baseball is the one sport in the United States of America that cannot, I repeat, cannot afford a cancellation of its season. Football.
Yeah, so I can't agree with that. I can't agree with that at all. I mean, baseball is part of the big three in America. So you have football, basketball, then baseball. Sure, baseball may not be as popular as it has been in the past, but that's still part of the big three and still a major, sport that people like to watch and play and all that. If anything, there's other sports that would go down before baseball does. Look at the sports. So we have a soccer. People like soccer in America, but not to the extent of the big three. People like arena football, but that's not like the NFL. People like, look at the WNBA. I heard the WNBA has been in the red ever since they came out. Ever since the WNBA started, they haven't made any type of money, and they still have the organization going. I'm not dumping on women's sports or anything like that, because I'm pretty sure half of those girls in the WNBA or even D-1 ball could outshoot me. So I'm not dumping on them. I'm just stating the facts that the WNBA hasn't made any money. So you're trying to tell me that Major League Baseball, which is part of the big three, is going to go down, go bankrupt before the WNBA, before arena football, before soccer, before all these other little sports? I can't see that happening. I'm pretty sure baseball is still making money. They may not be making the type of money that they want, but they're still making money hand over fist. So let's continue.
Baseball is already number one. NBA has climbed above it. It's turned itself into a global iconic brand. All right. Baseball, America's national pastime. Your audience is getting older and older. You have unsuccessfully ingratiated yourself with a younger generation, let alone a younger generation rife with minorities, okay? Because your definition of minorities has been people from Venezuela and other places throughout the world, and Dominican Republic, of course, as opposed to African Americans in this country. The bottom line is that your sport, to some degree, is going to fade. You already canceled the World Series in 1994. You had to work.
Yeah, baseball's not going anywhere anytime soon, like I just said. It may not be as popular as it has been, but it's not going anywhere. Like I said, if the WNBA will be shut down before Major League Baseball goes down. I guarantee you that. So let's continue.
And use steroid-induced Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa to revitalize the sport at that particular moment in time. And then now you're going to come back when 40-plus million people are unemployed or furloughed, wondering what their futures are going to have. Their quality of life has dissipated and is evaporating before their very eyes. Racial strife and beyond has taken over this country, at least momentarily. And you're on the record, thank God for Scherzer, who was on the committee, but prior to that, you had that guy Snell on the record saying, I can't walk away with just half of my $7 million. I need it all. I ain't playing. To have a quote like that in the middle of a pandemic where so many jobs have been lost and our economy has been ravaged, I mean, it's just the stupidest thing. Him and Bryce Harper, it's not that they're wrong for what they're saying. You can't say that. You had to leave that to Scherzer and people for the MLB Players Association to say that. So in the end, they all got to come together and recognize America's not in love with you anymore. If you mess this up and this season gets canceled, I don't know if baseball will recover from it. I really don't, Matt.
Nah, I wouldn't say that at all. Like I said, there's other sports that will go down before Major League Baseball goes down. I mean, there's some major cities that have, great historic baseball teams that they're not going to let their team fall. If they need to do something to motivate people to come on out and get more views or whatever, I think they're doing it. I mean, look at the New York Yankees, the Dodgers, the Cubs. I mean, all these different teams, the San Diego Padres. All these different teams that, are historically good and historically part of a city, that Major League Baseball will not be going down before a lot of other sports do. Like I said, they're part of the big three. They may not be as popular as before, but they're still part of the big three. And I think a lot of times, I've been saying this for a while, I said in other videos, that I think baseball might need a heel. I think they might need a bad guy to be in there. Something like, I don't want to say Floyd Mayweather's a bad guy, but he's a guy that can attract people because he's one of the best pound-for-pound boxers ever, and people don't like the way he flaunts it because, I mean, he's number one, so, I mean, and he knows it, and he's not afraid to show you that he's number one and afraid to show his money. So people love to hate that guy. I think that might be what baseball needs. They need a guy that's out there just absolutely killing it, and at the same time, he's not afraid to show off his money and talk trash and just be a pivotal figure. I don't mean he has to be doing anything bad, like, I don't know, getting DUIs and beating up his coaches and fighting all the time, but it's something that is an attraction that will draw people. Baseball needs one or two of those to get back that popularity and get people watching again. Then I think they'll be right up where they were before. It's kind of like boxing. Like I said before, boxing used to be way bigger back in the 80s, 70s, 60s, and before that. But for whatever reason, it went down after we lost our heavyweight champion, even though we have one now. Well, not kind of anymore. But you guys know what I'm talking about. It's boxing's never going to go away. It just may not be as popular as it's been, but it's still here. It's the same thing for baseball. So I don't see baseball going away anytime soon. So let's continue. And sorry about that whole rant.
We're on exactly the same page here, Stephen A. Listen, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but in the United States of America, no one really cares about hockey. You know, the old joke is every town has 20,000 hockey fans. They all have season tickets. So the arenas are always...
Yeah, so I don't know about that, Max. I don't know if I would say that nobody cares about hockey, because I definitely think hockey certain people do like hockey. Maybe not in cities or towns where it snows. It might not be so popular. Like maybe California, but although California had the LA Kings, with Wayne Gretzky. So to say people don't like hockey, I don't know if I could say that. But the New York Rangers and all these other different teams, I used to always think of hockey as being the fourth big of the top three. So you have football, basketball, baseball, and then hockey. That's the way I kind of had it ordered. Because what's bigger than hockey other than, football, basketball, and baseball? It really goes down to hockey. I mean, look at this, San Jose Sharks. I mean, so I would not say that nobody cares about hockey. I would say it's soccer before I say hockey, and that I was referring to that.
Sold out, but the TV ratings don't do anything. So it's not one of the four major team sports, although it has a strong, I don't know how else to describe it, cult following in this country. Obviously in Canada, it's number one.
Okay, Max, if it's not part of the big four, what's the name of the top four? Like I said, football, basketball, baseball, and then what's the fourth one? Because the fourth one for me is going to be hockey. I can't think of any other sport that's right up there with the big three that would be next in line to be number four, other than hockey. So let's continue.
But this is where the money is. So you're left with the NFL, number one in this country by far, and the NBA, which is gaining ground in this country but bigger worldwide. Where does that leave baseball? It's the old George Carlin routine. And kids, George Carlin was a brilliant comedian once upon a time, the late, great George Carlin, who talked about baseball being a pre-industrial agrarian game and football being, post-industrial war game. But that means that baseball is necessarily from an earlier time. It's not as cutting edge as the other sports. It has certainly not captured the imagination of the youth culture. And by the way, baseball's my favorite. I love baseball. Stephen A., I know your father played baseball on a high level, and you're a baseball fan. This is not my personal preference. I love baseball, but I want to be real about it. They have to come back. If baseball doesn't come back, the sad thing is Guys like you and me will miss it. The kids ain't going to even miss it, Stephen A. They'll never even know what they had.
Matt,
it is.
Yeah, so I don't know if I agree with that. Like I said, baseball is not going anywhere anytime soon, especially if the WNBA is around, arena football, soccer, things of that nature. I can't see, them staying around longer than baseball. And, I love going to baseball games. Baseball games are absolutely fun to go to. Even if you're playing against a trash team, it's fun to go to. Just be out in the stadium with the fans and hear people hooting and hollering. It's just an overall fun time. Even tailgating, it's just an overall fun time to go to baseball games. Now, as far as being at home and watching baseball games, so I watch baseball games. It may not have my full attention. Sometimes I use baseball games as a background noise. So I might be doing something. And at the same time, I have the game on, and every now and then I'm looking up when I hear a big play or hear something going on. I'll look up every now and then, and I'm still watching the game. It may not have 100% of my attention, but I'm still listening and chiming in on Major League Baseball. So to say that, talking like baseball is going to go anywhere anytime soon, I seriously doubt that. They're acting like, baseball hasn't made money in 3 or 4 years, and it's just absolutely struggling. I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. I'm pretty sure baseball is making millions of dollars still. Billions of dollars. They might make $2 or $3 billion instead of maybe $5 or $6 billion, but they're still making money hand over fist. And like I said, I know a lot of people that like to go to baseball games. I know some people that don't want to watch baseball games. I know people that watch it and they do it like me. They have it as background noise. But baseball is not going anywhere before a lot of these other sports go someplace. So I don't know. Let's continue.
Essential for them to come back. The owners, Stephen A., quickly, the owners, for them to actually be talking about canceling a season because of a cash shortfall, because of ticket revenue or TV revenue from the postseason is outrageous. Not only do they generate a lot of money from local TV, the equity in the team skyrockets. The Dodgers sold 7-8 years ago for $2 billion. They weren't bought for $2 billion. Yep. So this is really on the owners. Of course, the players stand to lose, but the owners have an enormous investment here. Let's hope they don't screw it up.
Well, they have an enormous investment, Max, but if you're billionaires, you're billionaires. So even without the sport, you're going to survive. You'll find something else to spend your money on and to try to make more money for yourself. The players may not necessarily have that luxury outside of the top marquee guys that are getting paid buku dollars. But I want to give you the last word, Max, by throwing this your way. And take that footage off if y'all could. Put myself and Max on a split screen because I want to see him when I'm saying this to him. I want to get your thoughts about this, Max. At a time like this, to me, it's even more sensitive on a part of Major League Baseball because of the demographic makeup of the sport and the fact that it's presumably had privileges that other sports didn't have for decades. When you talk about antitrust laws, for example, and things of that nature, it was too complicated for all of us to get into in such short segments on this show. The NFL didn't have that. The NBA didn't have that. Some of the luxuries, the perks, Capitol Hill and the perks that it threw in the direction of Major League Baseball, because Major League Baseball was our national pastime, and they ingratiated themselves with the sport. It was America. When you're talking about America, the American way, what personified America, you usually leaned on baseball when you were leaning on a sport. So to me, at this particular moment in time, Max, with all that's going on, with the racial strife that exists, the divided as our country appears,